As you can see in the video over here, I'm doing a presentation on a video game. And you'll see that I'm trapped inside a little box, like many show hosts that you see on YouTube. And a lot of you wanted to know, how did I get out of the box and onto the screen? We're going to do a little bit of wizardry in Kdenlive right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. Okay, let's begin. All right, for starters, you're going to need a few little things to be able to accomplish a task such as this. You're going to need a good screen capture program. I use FFmpeg from the terminal. Also, you're going to need a separate video recorder, like a camcorder, which is what I'm using. And then, of course, you're going to need the latest stable release of Kdenlive, which is version 0.96. It's also helpful to have a good microphone. Additionally, on top of that, you are going to need to have a great lighting setup. Okay, in this sample right here, let me shut off all of the effects. And now you will see I am standing in front of a green screen. And notice how evenly this is lit. I'm going to go ahead and play a clip for you right now. And this is showing my setup. I'm using a 6-light setup. I have 2 lights on the floor beneath me, lighting the lower portion of the screen. I have 2 lights which are set up higher, and these have a white umbrella reflecting the light in all different directions. Additionally, I have a light directly overhead. This is called a hair light, and this shines light on the top of my head, my shoulders, and everything to help keep me away from this wall. That way there isn't much spill. And then, of course, right above my camera, I have another light which is filling in the rest. So, as I move my arm over the screen, you're going to notice there is very little in terms of shadows. And this is what you want to be able to get a good chroma key effect. Okay, now let's have a look at the web browser. And you will see here that this is the Kdenlive website. This is kdenlive.org. Just click the download button here, and this will give you instructions on installing the latest Kdenlive version in your distribution. If you're running Arch Linux or Manjaro like I'm running, you already have the latest stable version in the repository. So just running pacman-S Kdenlive will get you the latest version, along with all of the latest plugins, FFmpeg, and the Melt framework that it uses. You might have most of those things installed already. And of course, if you're using Ubuntu, there are instructions provided on this website for adding a PPA, because the version that ships with Ubuntu and its derivatives is not the latest stable release version. So you want to follow the instructions. Make this website your friend. Okay, now I went and took some time to record some footage just about an hour ago that we're going to be using in today's exercise. So I'm going to open up Kdenlive, and of course, when you first open up Kdenlive, yours may not look like this. But if you look in my multimedia playlist, you will see that I have tutorials showing you how you can move and rearrange and position your windows to balance your workflow the way you want it. This is how I have mine set up. Now, let's go ahead and grab some video clips. I have a folder here called Project, and you'll see I have a number of clips here that I'm just going to drag in, and I'll go over these in a little bit. And then, of course, I want to grab some other clips that I use regularly, such as my video set, my entrance, and then my exit video. Just drag those in too. And then we can close this. Now, once you have all of your footage, you want to save your project because Kdenlive does crash sometimes. But the nice thing is if you saved your project, the next time you open it, it will recover it right where you were at. So that's always helpful. So we're going to save this project as, and I'm going to call this CK sample. All right. Now we have that saved. Now, something that I do is I put all of my clips together individually and then compile them all together for the final product. Let me show you what I'm talking about. For instance, let's take some old footage that I have here from one of my older videos, and I want this to appear inside my television screen. So I'm just going to scroll far back enough. And I only want about 30 seconds. So I'm going to position my cursor where I want it, right-click on the clip and select Cut Clip. And then pressing the Delete key will get rid of the footage I don't want, and I don't want it to have audio. So I'm going to right-click on the clip, Split Audio, right-click again, Ungroup Clips, select the audio footage, press the Delete key, and it's gone. So now I have a piece of footage here that I can use as a backdrop. Now, maybe I want this to appear a little bit darker, so I'm going to select Brightness just by doing a search for it, double-click it after selecting the clip, and now I can tone that brightness down, because now I'm going to put a title on it. Using any any image editor, you can create your own title clip. You can use the GIMP. You can use Pinta. In my case, I use Fireworks 8 from Macromedia. It was the last version that they released before Adobe purchased it. And it has given me many years of good use, and I have every reason to believe that it will give me many more years of good use. All right, so now I have a title sequence here, but you can't see the video underneath it. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag the right corner down. You'll see there's this little yellow here, and then I'm going to drag it all the way over, and you're going to notice it's a dissolve effect. That's not what we want. We want to make this a composite. So I'm going to select Composite. All right, and now you will see we have the title clip over the video clip with focus on the graphical information on the screen rather than what is in the background. Now I'm going to go ahead and select to render this. In Render Project, I always select H264, okay, 4 encoder threads, and have it render the full project. In this case, once you have those selected, press Render to File. Now that that has finished rendering, and it only took 49 seconds to do, I'm going to close this, all right, and I'm going to delete these files from the timeline, and I'm also going to remove those files off the timeline as well. Out of the project folder as well. So just highlighting, click, and then press the Delete key will get rid of those. And then we're going to add clip. And I actually put all of these in the sample folder. And then here is ol.mp4 that I just made. I'm going to open this. Okay. And now I'm going to put this on my television set. So now you'll see that I have a TV set that I created in Blender. And this has a bright green color in here. This is used just basically for allowing me to have a reference point when I'm positioning video in here. Okay, so let me grab this clip that we just made. All right, and now we want it in the television set. Well, I'm going to first position this over here so that it meets the end. And I'm going to drag down again, bring this all the way across, and then complete a composite layer. Now, I have an effect that I already made once before, and it's right here with this little wrenches. This is, I called it set screen. When I select the video that I want to apply it to, I press set screen, and you will see that it has now moved the video clip into the TV screen. So that it's a perfect little fit. And basically, this effect is called the corners effect. And so basically, you can take, with the hand tool here, you can take the corners of the video and you can position it any way you want to maybe give a form of depth and that sort of thing. I'm just going to go ahead and reset this effect. And then, once that's done, I'm going to press render again, selecting H264, and then I'm going to select a new name. And now I'm going to call this one set. Okay, and then I will press render to file. Okay, now that that has finished rendering, let me go ahead and close this. And then I'm going to take these off the timeline now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and save now. Pressing Control S will save the document. And now I'm going to take the set off of here. And I'm going to take out the overlay. I don't need that anymore. So now all I have are just the sample OGG file, the sample Matroska video, and the sample AVI. Okay, now this is where it gets to be fun. I'm going to go ahead and pull down sample MKV. And I'm going to pull down sample OGG. Now one thing, my camera takes terrible audio. If you don't believe me, see my video on removing sand from Vaseline, and you'll see why. It sounds like I'm talking in a tin can. And there isn't anything I can do with Audacity to improve the quality of audio. So, I actually use my screen capture. I have my microphone right here, just outside of view of the camera, and my microphone is connected to the computer, and I do my recordings there, and then I run it through Audacity to clean out what little background noise there is and to improve the audio fidelity. I have a video in my multimedia playlist showing how I do some stuff in Audacity. So now I have an audio clip the exact same length as the video, and you'll notice as we zoom in here, you'll see that I have a place where I clapped my hands. Okay, this allows me to sync audio. So I always clap, and then I can line up the audio here. Okay, and then I'm going to right-click on this clip, split audio, right-click on it, ungroup clips, and then I'm going to delete the original audio because I have new audio that I want to use. So I'm going to press delete. And then these clips, I'm going to select both of them by holding Control and click. I've got both of them selected. I'm going to right-click and select Group Clips. Okay, good deal. Now, when I decide to move these on the timeline, they're linked together. Pretty neat, huh? All right, now, I'm going to take my footage from my video camera and I'm going to pull it down onto the top line here. And notice where that clap mark is right here. This allows me to synchronize my video with the audio. So I'm going to right-click on this one and split the audio here. And now I'm going to move my cursor right here. I'm going to click in a space and you'll see where this line is. And then I'm going to just zoom in. And you'll notice that it's slightly off kilter, but not too bad. That's actually doable. It doesn't have to be perfect. Something you'll also notice in the screen. Look how even that green color is. This is why you want to have the best possible lighting on that green screen. Because if you have wrinkles in your background, you have heavy shadows, and that sort of thing, you're going to run into problems with keying this. And because of the lighting setup I have, I might not even have to use a key spill mop-up because I have a perfect lighting scheme. although I still prefer to use them out of habit. Okay, so now that I'm satisfied with this, I am going to right-click on the audio clip here, select to ungroup clips, and then I'm going to click down the bottom here, and I'm going to delete this audio. Let's zoom out a little bit. And now I want to get about a second worth of information before, the audio speak, where I start speaking. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to cut these clips now. And I'm going to remove them. And then I can move this all the way to the beginning. And the audio will be in perfect sync with the video that I have on top here. And then this is probably the end of the intro monologue in this sample. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to cut the clips here. And then I'm going to move this back out of the way. And I'll just line them up here. That's a nice feature on the timeline, that you can snap, that this snaps your videos together nicely, so that works well. Now, for this piece, I obviously don't want to have the screen capture for this. I want to have that piece of footage that I just worked on. So I'm going to right click and I'm going to select to add a clip, and then I'm going to select my set video that I just made. I'm going to open that. Okay, and then I'm going to right click on this clip, ungroup the clips, delete this video clip, and then I'm going to pull in my new set footage. And then I want this to be flush with the rest. Okay, that looks good. And then I'm going to drag down the bottom right corner of the green screen footage onto this. I'm going to drag it all the way over to the left. And then I'm going to change it from dissolve to composite. Now, one of the neat features in Kdenlive is that you can make effect stacks, and I show you how to do this in some videos that I have on my playlist. So I'm not going to show you how to make video stacks in this particular episode, but you can check out the videos from our multimedia playlist and you'll see how to do it. But I already have something here. This is called CK1 Core. So with this piece of video selected, okay, all I have to do is just click the video I want to apply it to. It's highlighted in red, and then click my effect, and then boom, there it is. The green screen has been removed, and I have a nice key here with no green spill on the outside. The only drawback to this is now I have to render this out using 1 core rather than 4. Otherwise, it's going to cause artifacts. Before I do that, let me explain to you what it is you're seeing in this effect stack. First, there is a blue screen effect where I have selected the prominent green color in the background. So if I make this blind here, you're going to see this is the color. Now it's off a little bit because I have key spill mop-up activated. So let me go ahead and shut off some of these effects so that you can see what they are. So when I turn on the blue screen effect, okay, you're going to see there is a little bit of a green hue here. So I have an effect called key spill mop-up. And you'll notice that there's a change now. Instead of having a green tinge to the video, now it has completely neutralized it. And in order to do that, you will select the color that you keyed out and then its opposite color in the color spectrum. So the opposite of green is purple. And then by applying a target effect and a slight amount, and then by using Luma Adjust, I was able to achieve a nice effect. Alpha Operations softens the edges. And what I did with Alpha Operations is I just chose a shave effect, and that smoothed out the edges nicely for me. And then Crop, Scale, and Position allows me to position my avatar wherever I want on the screen. So maybe I want to make this a little bit bigger. So we can do that. We can resize that. I'll make that 53 instead of 50. All right, and then I can set the tilt, the X tilt, to where I'm directly on the bottom there, and then I can maybe position this over a little bit more. Okay? Now, I always have my settings on to use more than one core with the melt framework. Now, we've already saw in the render settings here, when I select render here, in the render project settings, we see 4 threads, okay? Kdenlive only uses 4 threads when doing simplistic video editing, but when you're doing compositing that has advanced effects layered, it doesn't always do that. It will just use 1 core. So you have to actually go in, let me close this here, go into settings, and then configure Kdenlive. I have a shortcut for it here. Under processing threads, you'll see I have it set for 3. Because of the layer of effects that I have in this stack, I can't process it using all of those threads. I have to stick it down to 1 thread, and this is going to render with 1 core. I'm going to select apply, and then OK. And then when I go to render this, press the render button, I'm going to tell this I want to call this clip 1A. That way I know when I title it 1A, that means it is the first finalized clip that I'm going to be using for this video. Okay, and then instead of rendering the whole project, let me close this. I'm going to drag the marker here, this blue marker at the top, all the way to the end of this clip here. So now when I render it, I'm going to tell it only render the selected zone. That way only this footage is being recorded and not the footage all the way down here on this end of the timeline that I'm going to be working on after this is completed. So let's go ahead and press render to file. Okay, now that that has finished rendering, we can go ahead and close this. I'm going to delete these off the timeline. And then I'm going to add my new clip. Well, I don't really have to because I still have the second portion to do. And then let's close this window now. And then we're going to grab all of this footage over here. And we're going to get out of the box. Okay, and then I'm going to position this right about where I want to at the beginning here. Cut these clips out. And drag these over to the beginning. And then, like the math teacher always said, what you do to one side, you got to do to the other. So, let's go ahead and I want to pick the ends of these clips here and cut them. Alright, that should be good enough. Alright, and then what I'm going to do here is I'm going to drag down the effect. By default, it always makes a dissolve. I'm going to drag this all the way over. And then I'm going to make this one a composite effect as well. Now, I'm going to go back into my settings because this layer, this stack, I'm going to be using does not require me to use only one rendering cycle with the melt framework. Okay, so going into settings and then configure Kdenlive, I have a shortcut to it here. Now I'm going to tell it to use 3 processing threads and then select apply. And OK. Now, with this video clip selected, now I have another effect stack called CKCR Ava 2. And basically it's just a chroma key avatar effect. So I'm going to apply this, and now you're going to notice that it has keyed me out and it's smaller. Now this isn't quite as sharp. Now there are a few effects in here that I actually need to remove from this since I've got a better lighting system, so I'm going to remove them. I'm going to remove the chroma hold, and I'm going to remove contrast out of the picture. and I think I'll just leave it as is. As, again, I have a blue screen effect here. This time I'm using a saturation effect. And you'll notice as I slide the saturation here, let me position the cursor, you'll notice how it appears to be a little bit different. I can adjust how much saturation this has. And the reason I remove some saturation is to trick it or to hide some of the green. So usually about 100 is sufficient with my new lighting scheme, but with the old scheme I had to go as far as 65 to 70. And then of course the ABBA BR effect is the same thing as the crop effect that I showed you before, but this time I have myself positioned elsewhere on the screen, and I can pretty much, move me wherever I want to be. And then, of course, if there were a taskbar beneath me, like in a presentation of a distro review, I could position myself up higher so that I appear to be above that timeline, or taskbar, as it were. So pretty much that's how I do that effect. But, because this is nice and small, this works for my purpose. All right, everything looks good there. And so now I know that I can go ahead and render this. So when I press the render button this time, I'm going to tell this one to be named 1B. And then press render to file. Okay, once that has finished rendering, I have removed all the unnecessary clips because now I'm ready to put together my final clip, or the work print as it is called. And something I forgot to mention is that when you render that piece, of course, make sure you have it set to render the full project and not just the selected zone. Okay, now what I need is a 1-second color clip. So I'm going to pull in a 1-second color clip, and there is a color clip. You can also right-click and select to add a color clip, and you can define how long that you want it. I'm going to take my intro piece of footage here, and I'm going to put it on the timeline, and then let it dissolve in. Then I'm going to take my intro, that's the part that plays right after I say, right now on Spatry's Cup of Linux. I'm going to drag this down as well. And this is something that I actually just rendered out in Blender. Then I am going to drag another clip onto the timeline here, and that will be our presentation. And we're going to apply this effect here. And it's just a simple little dissolve. And then the ending clip. And for this, I only have to, I can just leave it at 3 processing threads because there isn't any major graphical processing that's being done. So that's always a plus. And then when I, press OK for this now. And then when I go to render this file, okay, I am going to name this sample done with H264, which is fine. For YouTube, though, Xvid is also a great option. I found I've had less problems uploading the videos with processing time when you use Xvid AVI. So, when you use Xvid AVI with video, I put that up to 12,000 and audio to 384, and that works pretty well for me. And then press render to file. Okay, now that that is finished, let's have a look at our final product. Just by double-clicking on the video here. This is a sample intro. I'm recording this because turn that down just a little bit. To demonstrate in my Kdenlive exercise today. Okay, and this looks like this has perfect results. I'm very pleased with how it looks. Nice blending of color and everything. And short little clip. And it looks sharp here as well. I realize, yes, the keying could be a little bit better in the smaller image, but it's not too distracting. So I'm overall pleased with that. Well, if you find these videos to be useful, please consider supporting Spatchery's Cup of Linux. Just click my cup that you see on the screen there, and it will take you to my channel, and then there is a link that you can click in my upper banner that says Support Spatchery's Cup of Linux. Throw me some coins. I'm working diligently with all earnestness to make this show better than ever for you guys. And if you don't have any coins to shout, please consider disabling your ad blockers. This will allow the advertisings to play. Not only will you be helping me out by disabling your ad blockers, but you'll also be helping out other show hosts that are putting up great content for you guys. Well, that's all I have for now on this topic. If you have any questions, please put them in the space below. I am planning a full Kdenlive workshop series once version 1.0 releases. I can't wait. I've been eagerly awaiting it. It looks like it's 0.099 right now, because when I did switch to Manjaro Linux, I did try and build it from Git, but it wasn't quite functional yet. But I do see that they're going to be bringing a lot of improvements, lots of new features, so I can't wait for that to come out. But in the meantime, Kdenlive is a powerful video editing tool. Once you learn its workflow, you'll find it is comparable to anything that's out there.